Hey everyone, I hope I'm here. I hope I'm live. If somebody can give me the traditional thumbs up, that would be so awesome. I hope you are all well. I am squelching away in subtropical, almost 90-degree heat today. And I'm blotting my nose with my grandma's hanky. So that's how I'm going to get through it. And happy to be here with you. Not sure yet. There's Bonnie. Thank you. Yay, I'm live. So just in this couple minutes before we get started, we have such a good topic today. I've been wanting to cover it for a while. So we're going to grab on and talk about supplements today. But just in the couple minutes before that happens, I want to let everyone know I won't be here next week. And in fact, because of a change in my schedule, we're going to be looking for a different time slot here. So I'll be on hiatus for a little bit while we look for that different time slot. And I'm going to give you all the details about how to stay in touch and make sure you get the heads up when we're ready to commit to a different time and probably day. So that's all up in the air. And yeah, I'll remind you guys again, just top of mind to make sure I mentioned it. Sometimes life just changes shape and we surf with it. But it's nice also having that stability and reliability of just knowing this is it. This piece of the structure of my week is in place. That part doesn't move. So I'll be waiting until that's clear before opting for the new time. I see quite a few people starting to come on. I'm going to show you my supplements today. So you're going to get the real behind the scenes scoop. And I'm hoping people have some good questions and maybe some experiences to share. It's like a wild west out there with the supplement industry. We're going to learn more about that. I think everybody's probably getting ready for Thanksgiving. We are as well. We'll be doing that on Sunday at a house here. Some dear friends who are also expats from America, and we've been getting together with them every year since we moved. So we'll have a sweltering hot Thanksgiving that will feature things like mango and strawberries and lots of iced tea, along with things like mashed potatoes and roast turkey that almost nobody actually wants to eat when it's this hot in November. So that's a funny thing about being American in Australia for the holidays. All right, well, welcome. I'm so delighted to be here with you today talking about supplements, choosing supplements wisely, because I get a ton of questions about supplements from clients, and I've got caught in that spaghetti mess myself, trying to make sense of looking at a shelf with, it seems like thousands of products, trying to decide which one of these do I really need? Why does this one cost $5 and this one that says it's the same thing costs $50? I heard on that trendy podcast that I need to buy this thing for all of these miraculous things to happen, and they made a really good scientific case for it. Maybe it's true. So I felt that overwhelm myself. I've certainly seen the dollar signs adding up, making those supplement purchases. And then I've done a lot of research for clients as well, wanting to be able to answer their questions knowledgeably and knowing what the evidence is about these different products, not just the marketing hype. So we're going to try to make sense of this overwhelming, confusing, expensive option as we go along today. I'm Lulu Cook. I'm a counselor and dietitian and author. I come to you weekly with this wellness session to bring the best information on making actionable changes in your lives so you feel great in recovery to support your physical and mental health. I have my own 20 plus years of experience in recovery. Just got back from a wonderful recovery weekend with a bunch of women here It was multiple 12-step programs and so much laughter. A little bit of social anxiety for this girl, but I've learned to just roll with that and decide to either show up for the big events or maybe just hang in the back if that's how I need to kind of take care of myself. Great to have those options, and it was a wonderful weekend. So you can reach me here. You can send me an email here or write to me at my email, lulu@gutfeelingcoaching.com. That's LULU at gutfeelingcoaching.com. And for anybody who missed the announcement, we'll be on hiatus for a while. My schedule is changing. So this will be the last weekly session for a little while things get clear again. And so if you want that notice about when we're back or other options to get the kind of great content about supporting your physical and mental health in recovery, please make sure you get on my newsletter list, reach out to work with me as a client. I'm not going anywhere except I'm not coming here for a while on the Monday evenings. So I'll remind you about that again at the end if you want to take down those details and make sure you know where to keep getting the information you need to feel great. Technical stuff, I'm recording this part, so I won't bring anybody into the talk room until the end. You can always try chatting if you have a question as we go along, and I promise to try not to hang up on your chat. So that's it. Let's go. Let's put on our cowboy hats and ride into the wild, wild west of the supplement industry. I have this intuition that those of us who have that experience with addictive behaviors, addictive experiences, addictive histories, I have a hunch that we might be particularly vulnerable to this whole idea of supplements. Like, yeah, I want to pop the magic pill that's going to make me live forever, look younger, have more energy, have great skin, whatever it may be. Yes, I want that. I may not necessarily want to do the work to get there by changing my diet, changing my physical activity, making sure I get enough sleep and turn off the Netflix in time to get enough sleep. That all sounds like a lot of work. I'm more about popping a pill. Maybe that sounds familiar to some of you here. So I think we have a unique vulnerability to supplements here in these rooms. And we're also uniquely vulnerable to the marketing that comes along with this industry when we are afraid, when we are worried about our health, when every time we turn on the TV, it's fear, 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 pandemic, horrible things, smog, air pollution. We're afraid and we want to do something, and we want to do anything we can to try to feel better and to soothe our fear by choosing something that's going to fix it right now. And supplements kind of hop in and take that place sometimes. So we want to understand the marketing there and how we can insulate ourselves from the marketing. We'll do that by thinking about these 4 Ps, assessing the purity, potency, the positive identification, and the performance of any particular substance. We also want to know about, what's the efficacy? Does this supplement work? What's the quality control there? What's the cost going to be? Supplements can add up fast because we want to be able to choose safe, effective, fairly priced supplements that are doing what we think that they're doing for us and that there's a real benefit there. And so I'm going to sound pretty cynical as we go along. I've learned a lot about this industry and I am very cynical about it. And I take supplements. I use supplements. I recommend supplements. I just think we have to be really switched on to be savvy consumers about which ones we're going to drop our hard-earned money with. So we'll jump in. We're going to define some terms. We're going to look at some specific common supplements. It's all general information, not specific medical advice here. If you have your own unique personal questions, pop me a note. We'll take that one offline. So what are dietary supplements? They were defined in 1994 by this very famous act, the DSHEA, Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. And it says that supplements are intended to supplement the diet using one or more ingredient, which includes vitamins, minerals, herbs, other botanicals, amino acids, that's proteins, and other substances or their constituents. So it's any little extra things besides the food that we eat that are intended to supplement the diet and presumably provide some kind of benefit. Notice the fact that that definition right there offers supplemental to a nutritious diet of less processed, mainly plant-based foods. Supplements do not work. None of them work if we're starting with an ultra-processed, drive-through takeaway diet and then hoping a supplement's going to make up the difference. That's not a supplement then. That's like eating supplements for lunch. We want to get those foundations in place first, because supplements aren't magic. They can't fix it if the foundations are off. Just like in our recovery, right? There's some foundations of the recovery. If you're struggling with alcohol, you can't keep drinking and hope that hanging up the 12 traditions on the side of the wall in your bedroom is going to do the trick for you. You've got to get that foundation in place first, and that's what it's like with food and supplements. So who's taking them? Well, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, says that about half of American adults, a little bit more than half of American adults take supplements, and approximately 1/3 of children and adolescents in the States take adults. That's brand new data that just got released. So about 1/3 of our kids. Industry groups, though, trade groups for the supplement industry, like the Council for Responsible Nutrition, they say that 76% of adults take supplements. So let's say somewhere between half and 2/3. Millions of people are using these supplements every day and not reporting any negative health effects. The majority of supplements out there are likely safe for consumption by healthy adults, and some may even be helpful for a variety of conditions. For most people, there's going to be either no effect from the supplements that we take, or maybe a small positive effect. The only real negative effect for most of us is going to be money and cost. However, that's not the whole story. If only it was that easy. All we're doing is wasting money. And we're wasting a lot of money. Maybe not wasting, we're spending a lot of money. The supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. The most recent sales data from 2016 show sales of $41 billion for the American supplement industry. That's not even looking globally, $41 billion, despite the scientific literature showing very minimal health benefits. So we're spending a lot of money for minimal benefit. There were close to 56,000 supplements on the market in 2012, and we're adding 5,000 or 6,000 per year. So huge amount of supplements out there, which is why when you're looking at the panel, the wall of supplements at the chemist or pharmacist, it can just be completely mind-boggling because it is, because there's could be thousands of them just in one pharmacy. And there are concerns. Now, the industry trade groups say that they've done their own studies and surveys, and they report consumers have a high degree of confidence in the safety, quality, and efficacy of supplements. Half of the respondents believe that the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, evaluates the safety and efficacy of supplements. 2/3 of people assume that the government requires supplements to list warnings about potential side effects on their labels. Those are both incorrect. The FDA does not mandate safety, efficacy, or warning about potential side effects. There's no safety testing, no FDA approval, and no proof of quality required before those products can come to market. And the reports of adverse events are rising, but again, they don't need to be reported on the supplement or on the website of the supplement manufacturer. The CDC estimates that there are 23,000 emergency room visits every year due to supplements. And for people over 65 who end up in the ER because of supplements, 16% of them will go on to be hospitalized because of it. About 32% of emergency room visits are due to really common supplements, multivitamins, iron, calcium, toxicity from these vitamins. So not necessarily the really unique, strange ones, just very common vitamins and supplements that any of us might have in our cabinet. That's 32% of emergency room visits. 30% of emergency room visits are due to weight loss products, weight loss supplements, and that's primarily with women. 14% of men's visits to the emergency room is due to body composition type, muscle gain, those types of supplements, or supplements that are marketed for sexual function and libido. And then the runner-up to those big categories would be different kinds of herbal products. The kinds of adverse reactions that we're talking about here are anything that could cause adverse or allergic reactions. We're going to see that the lack of transparent labeling and quality control puts people who have legitimate food allergies at real risk when it comes to the Wild West of supplements. Excess doses, liver failure, not uncommon with supplements, unsupervised ingestion by children, choking, and cases of both withdrawal from particular supplements and mortality, people dying from supplements. So these concerns are pretty serious. The supplements that are marketed for energy and weight loss are linked with a lot of cardiovascular events, chest pain, heart palpitations, that kind of thing. Same with the sexual enhancement and bodybuilding, a lot of heart problems associated with those. Liver toxicity from supplements makes up 20% of liver toxicity cases in the US is due to supplements. Primarily things like, it could be steroid type supplements. So again, that's the bodybuilding supplements. Green tea extract, which is marketed for weight loss often and cognitive reasons. And then supplements with multiple ingredients. This is an important one. So many people are bundling together and choosing. You can think of a multivitamin as an example. That's one supplement that has multiple ingredients in it. But then there's the more exotic ones, like the brain health ones, for example, or energy or calm or focus. Any of those might have 10 or 20 or more supplements in that one product. And those are highly linked with liver toxicity. There could be drug interactions happening within that supplement, drug nutrient interactions happening with things you're eating. For instance, the herbal supplement St. John's wort has over 200 different medications that it has documented dangerous side effects with. People take a St. John's wort sometimes for mood management, particularly for depression, and it's powerful. It's a potent herb. But we don't tell our doctors, for the most part, we're not telling our doctors and our healthcare providers about the natural supplements we're taking. And then in some cases that could lead to something awful like liver toxicity or a hospital visit. Other problems besides the multiple ingredients are undeclared ingredients, where you just don't even know what's in that bottle. Sadly, more common than you could imagine would be legal, but it is, and we're going to talk about that. So we can keep in mind that we could assess the quality of a supplement we're considering using the 4 Ps: positive identification, potency, purity, and performance. Do we actually know what's in that bottle? Do we actually know how strong it is? Do we actually know how pure it is or whether it has contaminants? And do we actually know what it's purported to be doing? This is a case of buyer beware. It can be hard to find our way around there. But let's talk about each of these 4 characteristics we could use to think about our products a little more closely. So, positive identification of supplement quality. This is a case where I think it's a particular flag for people who have allergies. A 2007 study found that only 84% of the supplements they examined, only 84% of them, the labels included all of the active ingredients that they found. They took apart the supplements, put them through lab analysis, and they found that only 84% of the labels actually included the active ingredients that were in there. Less than 50% of the labels included all of the inactive ingredients. So this is important because there are inactive ingredients used as fillers, used to help maintain texture. There are inactive ingredients that some people might be allergic to or have moral or spiritual or religious objections to. I'll mention, for instance, gelatin, which is an animal-based product. Gelatin is often used to make capsules, and it could be from a vegetarian source or not, but they're not required to disclose that. So someone who had a religious or dietary preference to not be consuming gelatin or animal products may or may not know about the positive identification of what they're consuming, depending on the label. A 2013 study out of Canada looked at 44 different herbal supplements and found that 59% of them had incorrect labels and contained ingredients that were not listed on the label. 32% of these supplements they contained substitute ingredients that didn't get listed. They were added to the product in place of something else, which was on the label but not in the product. And again, 21% included those fillers that were known allergens like wheat, rice, and soy. Not everyone's allergic to those things, but if you are allergic to them, you need to know if that's in the product you're choosing. So that's thinking about the positive identification. The performance side refers to how the advertising and marketing here are not regulated well at all. So some of these products just are not effective, and they're going to have, beautiful ads in the magazine with a field of daisies and people looking like they're skipping, and it's going to say boosts energy and vitality. That doesn't have to be true at all. The ad can just say that, and the label can just say that. Absolutely poorly marketed, and it might not do anything. Another example would be cognitive supplements, where you're thinking you're purchasing something like CoQ10. I promised I'd show some of my own. Okay, so you think you're purchasing CoQ10, which it has some fair research on it as a cognitive enhancer, but you can get it in several different forms. There's ubiquinone. Those are the two most common forms you'll see on the labels, CoQ10 and ubiquinone. There's others as well. Some of those are active in there. They may have some effect. Others don't do anything, but you wouldn't know that. They're all going to say on the label, good for cognitive performance. An important flag here is that there are no supplements that can prevent or cure coronavirus. There's just this roar of noise out there about vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, E. Some of these may support immune health if we're not adequate in those nutrients, but there's no magic bullet supplement that's going to prevent or cure coronavirus. It's a violation of federal standards for companies to imply that, but there's very poor regulation of it. So again, buyer beware. Purity would refer to, is there contamination in that product? And there are just reams of research showing supplements that can be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, toxins like mold or mildew, chemicals that we don't want to be consuming, such as pesticides, and intentional adulterants. This would be pharmaceuticals that are added to the product so that it seems to the consumer like, wow, this product really works. It's awesome. I'm buying it again, and I'm telling my friends that they should buy it too. We've seen this with some of the natural herbal products for sexual potency, for example, that actually have Viagra in them, which might be fine, or it might not be fine for you, depending on your medical status. Maybe Viagra is not a good choice for you, but you wouldn't know it's even in there from the label due to this intentional adulteration. So a recent study published in the journal Neurology found many examples of unapproved drugs in dietary supplements. They looked at 10 over-the-counter supplements that you could go buy at any store to improve cognition, to improve mental function. And in those 10 products, they found 5 unapproved and unlabeled pharmaceutical drugs in the products, several other drugs that were not included on the labels, and amounts of these unapproved drugs that were up to 4 times higher than a typical dose would have been if you had gone to your GP, to your doctor, and been prescribed that particular pharmaceutical. Doses up to 4 times higher. My friends, more does not necessarily mean better when it comes to pharmaceuticals and medication. But that's where we have to watch our addictive thinking, right? I can fall into that. Of course, more is better. So how is this happening? This puts us at risk. Where is the regulation here on this? Well, it varies by country. Here in Australia, our our dietary supplements are considered complementary medication. They're regulated by the Therapeutic Goods Act, which monitors the safety, quality, and efficacy of the products for sale here. Canada insists on licensing and pre-approval of supplements to be sure you're getting the real thing. And you can tell that in Canada by the 8-digit NPN number on the label of the product. That would be a quality assurance indicator. The USA has none of that. The United States doesn't do any of that. Supplements are regulated as foods, not as medicines, sort of by the FDA, but with very weak powers of oversight. There's no requirement for companies to establish safety, health benefit, effectiveness, quality, or ingredient integrity before it goes to market and starts being sold. Mislabeled and contaminated supplements that could harm people definitely find their way into consumers' hands. And it's only after the product is available for sale that the FDA can initiate warnings to manufacturers or potentially pull products. But remember, with something like 60,000 products on the market, the FDA is just not able to, even the weak regulatory action of warning the manufacturers, stop doing that. That's about as far as their power goes, unless there's actual deaths involved. But even that weak regulation, there's just no way that they can do that for the 60,000 products. So theoretically, all ingredients are meant to be declared on the label at the doses that are advertised, but yeah, it doesn't really happen. You'll notice the one thing that manufacturers are really good at is putting that label on that says these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So it would say that. I definitely found that looking at one of my bottles here. You can see, it's got that. It's backwards, I know, but it's got that label there at the bottom saying these statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. FDA hasn't even looked at them, and it's not meant to diagnose or cure anything. Never mind that the front of the label might say, supports calm, clear thinking, gives you more energy. It's confusing, right? So theoretically, the Good Manufacturing Practices requirement, it asks supplement makers in the United States to adhere to these regulations. The GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices legislation in 2007 is intended to protect the public by ensuring that manufacturers meet quality control standards. Here's the trick, you guys. This blew me away to learn. Manufacturers get to set their own standards and methods of measuring the quality. And they just say, yep, that's our good manufacturing practices. We decided that 100% of our supplement has to exactly meet the label 100%. This particular manufacturer might have that as their standard. Another manufacturer might decide, well, we think it's good enough if 50% of the labels are accurate and 50% of the product in the bottle actually matches the label. We've decided that our standard is 50%. That's what we're aiming for. They're allowed to do that. So it's a little bit stunning and definitely not anything that us as consumers want to hang our hat on and hang our health on. There are independent organizations that offer quality certification programs. So these are going to insist that the supplements be tested for ingredient legitimacy, integrity, potency, and any contamination. And they'll typically put some kind of a certificate on that, like a mark or seal of certification on the products that have passed that certification. And the ones to look for in the US are consumerlabs.com, NSF International, USP, which stands for US Pharmacopoeia Convention, and Informed Choice. So that's kind of the big background picture. And we're going to look at some specific supplements now and talk about how those might play a role in our recovery. So because we're a recovery program, we're going to start with detox supplements, wildly popular category of supplements. And just a quick reminder, we want the detoxification of anything foreign in the body, anything potentially toxic in the body. They're called xenobiotics, and our body has a natural 3-phase system using enzymes and the major organs like the liver and kidneys. That's how our body naturally detoxifies. Gut health is huge here. The gut plays it plays a gigantic role in maintaining our body's natural detoxification systems. And if your gut health is poor, it can actually make the whole situation worse if you do happen to consume something you're wanting to detox from. Preliminary scientific evidence shows that some foods, for instance, coriander or cilantro, nori, some of the brassicas, like Brussels sprouts, cabbage, that kind of thing. Some foods may have properties that support those natural detoxification systems. The majority of studies have either been performed in animals, or of the clinical detoxification studies that exist in humans, the majority are observational studies on a particular detoxification program that's promoted by the Church of Scientology. So it's not necessarily widely accepted as there's a lot to learn still about what foods and certainly what supplements might actually help support detox. At present, one author of a review on this wrote, at present, detox is certainly more of a sales pitch than a science. However, lack of evidence for an effect does not mean lack of an effect. So thinking about that example of nori seaweed having potential detoxification properties, we might not know a lot about it yet. That doesn't mean it's not actually supporting detox, but we don't have the evidence to know it. There's a few supplements, not foods, but supplements that do have preliminary evidence that they support our body's natural detoxification. One of them would be NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. It helps also modulate addictive cravings, primarily for cocaine and marijuana. May have some effect helping with mood disorders, schizophrenia. And NAC also supports production of glutathione, which is one of our body's natural detoxification supports as well. So NAC is a good possible player there. 5-HTP, I can't even remember. Oh wait, I can look it up. What does the HTP stand for? My bottle of 5-HTP is promising me on the label that it would support healthy sleep and mental well-being. That's great. I like to sleep well and have mental well-being. It's hydroxy L-tryptophan, but you don't actually need to know that. It's just 5-HTP, and it may support healthy sleep and mental well-being. I don't know about that. I am aware that there's some research showing that it can help with reducing carbohydrate cravings and perhaps have a role to play for people suffering with food addiction. And then just phytonutrients from plant foods. All of the different brightly colored fruits and vegetables we eat are chock-a-block full of natural chemicals, phytonutrients that are going to support detoxification. So that's one big category that I think is of interest to people in recovery. Another huge category of supplements and supplement use would be those that are purported to support weight loss. And they do that by acting as stimulants, metabolism boosters, appetite suppressants, or altering how we metabolize particular nutrients. So an example of something that can be used supplementally that does seem to be effective and relatively safe would be caffeine. People with a black coffee habit tend to weigh like the tiniest bit less than people who don't drink black coffee. You can get caffeine supplementally, and it's fairly safe. More commonly, that is not what people are thinking of when they're thinking weight loss supplements. They're thinking of things like ephedra or ma huang, which very modestly increases short-term weight loss to about 1 kilogram over a month of use. However, it's been banned by Health Canada and the FDA due to serious heart risks, such as stroke. So when that got banned, many companies moved over to bitter orange extract, which is widely used as a substitute for ephedra. It contains an active ingredient called synephrine, which is like ephedrine. It's a stimulant. concerns about it having a safety profile similar to ephedra. There's one study showing that a single dose elevated blood pressure and heart rate for up to 5 hours. But then there's been a big review of 23 studies that found that it did not have those concerning heart impacts. So maybe it's safe to use, at least in the review of these 23 studies. Bitter orange extract may be safe to use for up to 12 weeks. But if you're thinking it's going to help with weight loss, you might want to think again, because in that review, they found no significant weight loss difference between people who took the bitter orange extract and those who did not. Those who did lose some weight on the bitter orange extract, it was something like 3 pounds over many, many weeks. And you're paying a lot of money for those products, right? So you have to really decide, maybe I could lose 3 pounds. Maybe I'm not going to lose any weight at all from this product. And I'm going to pay however much I'm going to pay for it to continue taking it over time. And it may have heart impacts or it may not. That's a pretty big gamble to ask us for. Hoodia, well, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Hoodia is another very common weight loss supplement right now. It's an appetite suppressant derived from a plant native to southern Africa. And it's got, Hoodia has many different kinds, like there's lots of different kinds of pine trees or eucalyptus trees, right? There's lots of different kinds of Hoodia. There's only one, Hoodia gordoni, that has the active ingredient that may be effective in suppressing the appetite. It does that by acting on the hypothalamus in the brain and sending satiety signals saying, yeah, you're not hungry, you're satisfied. Advertisements claim that Hoodia has no side effects, so it's safe to take. But current research suggests otherwise, in part because there are no randomized control trials on it. So that's the highest quality of research evidence, and there is none. So there's insufficient data to determine, or at least not in humans. So there's insufficient data to determine whether it's safe for short or long term. There was one study using it with women. One group of the women took the Hoodia, one group didn't. They both had similar weight loss, but the ones taking the Hoodia had significantly more nausea and vomiting. So it might work. It might help with weight loss at the risk of increased nausea and vomiting, and not with any additional weight loss than you might be able to achieve just through lifestyle habits. There's also complications that may be related to long-term use of Hoodia to lose weight. Again, because it's acting on the hypothalamus, which regulates thirst, body temperature, metabolism, we don't really know what long-term use there would do. There's some suggestion it can be a risk for dehydration, which is already a risk for older people. People over, let's say, 50, 60 are already at risk of dehydration. Also, liver function and blood sugar control have also been found to be potentially risky areas. So we just don't really know. There's not enough evidence to know, but there's also not a whole lot of evidence to say, wow, this really potentially works. This might be the key. Even if we knew it was safe and effective, production is limited. It's very hard to get real Hoodia gordii. It's a rare and protected plant in the countries, most of the countries in which it grows. It takes many years to mature. So because of how difficult it is to obtain true Hoodia gordoni from pure plant form, most products advertised as being Hoodia are, I'm having a hard time with the pronunciation. They're likely to be counterfeit or to contain one of those forms of Hoodia that don't work. And over the past several years, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has banned several manufacturers from selling Hoodia in the United States at all because they're making false claims about the purity of it actually being what they say it is, or because of not meeting good manufacturing practices. So coming back to that big level view, we're thinking about the purity, the potency, the positive identification, and the performance of these supplements we're considering. And I'll leave the last word for weight loss. I mean, there's just a myriad of weight loss products to consider, but I'm going to leave the last word with these two studies that assessed multiple different weight loss supplements. One study in 2013 looked at the composition of 9 different supplements, 3 of which contained now banned weight loss drugs, medications, pharmaceuticals. 3 of them contained caffeine, which again might work, but you'd want to know if it was in there or not. And 3 contained both caffeine and the anti-anxiety medication temazepam or Restoril. So unbeknownst to the innocent consumer purchasing this dietary supplement for weight loss, they're actually consuming temazepam along with it. These products were marketed as all natural, purely herbal, and these ingredients were not declared on the label. And then in one other example, this 2009 study looked at the active ingredients of a dietary weight loss supplement purchased online that led to the death of a woman in her mid-40s. In addition to prescription weight loss medications, it also had diuretics, anti-seizure medications, and antidepressants in it. It contained phentermine, some pharmaceuticals I can't even pronounce, phenobarbital, sibutramine, diazepam, fluoxetine, that's Prozac, and a couple of different kinds of diuretics. So that's concerning for those of us in the room, those of us who have done the hard yards to achieve abstinence or sobriety, if that's been a choice for you to aim for. It's not okay to be bamboozled by these companies trying to sell us these safe, natural, purely herbal products that are chock full of things like Valium and antidepressants and temazepam that we don't know about. Real risk there. While all of these types of medications might benefit certain people, consumers need to be aware of what they're taking and talk about that with their physicians. So just red flags, being so cautious and protective of ourselves. And the bottom line is most of those products don't work. Let's talk about multivitamins, multimineral supplements for a minute, because I bet almost all of us have those in your medicine cabinet. I have one somewhere. I don't see where it is. I've got one. Yeah. Eve, marketed for women. So I know that they don't work. I'm just going to tell you that. The research is really clear. Multivitamins have almost zero effect on health, longevity, brain health outcomes for the vast majority of people who take them. A study in the British Medical Journal, a recent study, looked at more than 21,000 people. And of them, the 5,000 people who reported taking multivitamins, there were more people that the proportion of people who took multivitamins, 5,000 of them were so confident that their overall health was much better. They said, we are 30% healthier than anyone who does not take a multivitamin. But then the researchers found actually zero health differences between those 5,000 multivitamin people who thought they were super healthy and like all of the people who didn't take a multivitamin at all. So psychologically, they felt much healthier, but there was nothing to back that up. Multivitamins are often seen as like a cover all your bases kind of thing. They're cheap, and it's probably fine to just go with, a cheap chemist pharmacy multivitamin if you want to take one. They often have added ingredients in too small amounts to actually make any difference, like minute amounts of ginseng or saw palmetto. All that does is drive up the cost of the supplement. It doesn't add any benefit, typically because the amount would be so small that even if that ingredient did have some kind of beneficial action, it wouldn't at those amounts. So generally, there's no evidence that multivitamins benefit the vast majority of the public. Some exceptions would be people who are low income and unable to afford a safe and nutritious diet, people who are at risk of severe nutritional deficiencies. So that could be people who have had bariatric surgery, chronic diseases, macular degeneration. And these are things that you should ideally be talking about with a healthcare provider who might recommend a multivitamin. Multivitamins could be better options for some people than purchasing individual micronutrients. It might be more cost effective, but then it's less targeted. Pregnancy, older people, people with special diets. Gluten-free diets are likely to be low in calcium, iron, magnesium, zinc, and B vitamins. Paleo diets often low in calcium, iodine, thiamine, which is a nutrient of concern for recovering alcoholics, people in early stage alcohol recovery. Vegetarians could be low in some of those similar ones. So special diets maybe has a place for multivitamins. What do you want to look for on the label of your multivitamin? Adequate but not excessive RDAs. So over here on the supplement facts portion, where it's going to tell you it provides, oh look here, this one provides 333% of the recommended amount of vitamin A for me per day. Well, here's the good news, my friends. I don't take this every day. It says I need to take 4 of them to get 333%, and I don't. I take 1 of them every few days. So that 333% for me, I could divide by 4 because I'm not taking 4 of them, right? I'm only taking 1. So now it's looking like a more reasonable amount. But if I just read the label and just popped 4 of these a day, I'd be overexposed on lots of these. This vitamin E has 893%. That could be concerning for smokers. Vitamin E and smoking are a risky combination. So make sure you're getting, if you're choosing a multivitamin, you want adequate but not excessive amounts of things. You might want to just skip the extra ingredients, the fancy sounding posh little herbal add-ins, because they're not doing anything. They're just adding to the cost. Don't spend the extra money. Go for a basic generic one that you're confident on the manufacturing practices. Now Foods, N-O-W, Now Foods, I think has pretty good manufacturing practices that I've looked into before I used some of those products. Not sponsored or anything, but yeah, that's a kind of mid-level, reasonably affordable kind of product. So again, check the serving size like we just did there, that example of seeing, oh, it actually wants me to have 4 caps a day. And consider more targeted supplementation if you're able to afford it, if that's possible, because I don't need everything in here. There might be 1 or 2 things that I benefit from, but I don't need all that. Supplements that generally work for a lot of people, for a lot of reasons, would be probiotics. We'll talk about those specifically. Omega-3s, so that's omega-3 fatty acids. Fish oil is how we think of them. You can get vegetarian algae ones. They're big. Those are big. Oh, let me get a different one that's dark colored. These are like big capsules. See? But they're well linked for decreasing inflammation, heart health, helping mitigate depression, possibly being helpful for ADHD. But again, if you're going to choose to use the product thinking it's going to offer you some of those benefits, you want to be sure of what the dose is. And that might not mean the amount on the label. I mean, you need to know what the label says to know how much you would be getting in that size dose. But that might not be the amount of the product that would have the mood benefits or the inflammation benefits. So that's where you want to talk to somebody who really does know this stuff inside out. Calcium, many women take calcium. We're better off getting our 10,000 or 1,000 milligrams a day, or if we're over 60, over menopause, aiming for 1,200 milligrams a day. Men as well, wanting around 1,000 milligrams a day. We're better off getting it from food, because getting excessive calcium from supplements may have heart disease risk or a kidney stone risk. And if you're taking calcium supplements plus a multivitamin plus antacids that also have calcium in them, you might be getting too much supplemental calcium. Whereas if you're getting that 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day from food, that's primarily going to be dairy sources. I have a great calcium handout. If anybody wants it, send me a note, lulu@gutfeelingcoaching.com. It's full of the food sources and how much you get. The dietary calcium is actually protective of kidney stones. So better to get from food, but some people are going to top off to get up to that 1,000, and that's not problematic. It's the overdose. Iron, B12, vitamin D, those are all useful as needed for different health conditions, different diets. Thiamine can be useful for acute alcohol withdrawal, early alcohol detox. Magnesium, good for sleep, as is melatonin. Magnesium can also be laxative, but there's multiple different kinds of magnesium. If you take magnesium oxide, which is the cheapest and most widely available form, probably because it's cheapest, you're not getting the benefit to the amount that it says on the label because it's very poorly absorbed. Creatine, this is underappreciated. Some people think of it as like a muscle building kind of thing, but it's actually beneficial for certainly muscle maintenance, but cognition, mood, especially for vegetarians and elders. I think creatine is incredibly safe. It's one of the most studied supplements, incredibly safe. So possibly a place there. And you're not going to end up looking like Rambo, I promise. I don't. Another specific supplement to consider, probiotics. So useful for gut health, mood, immunity, inflammation. We've talked about that before. I've done a whole video on probiotics, and I think that is up on my Facebook page, Gut Feeling Nutrition Therapy. My Facebook page, I think the whole thing on probiotics is posted there. For most people, a general kind of low-cost probiotic with lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, and maybe Aspergillus yeast, that'll be perfectly fine for most people. I recommend that you switch them up every now and then. We've got trillions of bacteria in our gut, so why would we take one product that only offers, 3 different strains of bacteria forevermore? It can be good to just kind of switch those up as you run out and make sure you know what the probiotic strain is in there. If you're looking for particular support, whether you have IBS or maybe some mood concerns or schizophrenia, some of these have been linked with probiotics, but then you'd want to be a lot more aware of exactly which strain you were reaching for to be sure it was having that effect. Probiotics can be effective at varying strengths. So you're going to see it's going to talk about how many colony-forming units, CFUs, are in the label. Different studies have health benefits from anywhere from 50 million to more than 1 trillion CFUs. So a wide range there. You can't go too far wrong. And better yet, get lots of probiotics from food. Yogurt, kefir, miso, sauerkraut, kimchi. So yum. Collagen, another huge supplement people are taking now. Sales have increased nearly 34% in the last year. And early research suggests collagen may be useful for improving joint pain, reducing wrinkles, promoting muscle growth, may aid in weight regulation. So there's a lot of hype around it. There's multiple different kinds of collagen on the market. Types 1, 2, and 3 are the most common. Here's the thing. You eat it, you consume it, you make a, in my opinion, horrible tasting collagen shake. It goes into the gut and your body breaks that collagen down into individual amino acids, collagen peptides, collagen hydrolysates. Many of the products are already a little broken down. Your body breaks it down further. It goes into the whole pool of protein in your body and your body will draw from it and use it as it desires. So you might purchase a collagen product that says it's for skin, hair, and nails, and your friend might purchase a collagen product that says it's for joint support and improving joint pain, and they're labeled differently and they're marketed differently. They might be priced differently, but it's impossible to determine in advance where those collagen peptides will be used in the body. We think we're taking it to achieve a specific benefit, but once we consume it, the body's going to prioritize, where do I need this protein? Do I need it for wound healing? Do I need it to build tissue? If all that's handled, maybe I'll use some of it for glossy hair. We can get collagen from food sources as well. Muscle meats, bone broth for sure, great source of collagen. Any protein food, fish, eggs, spirulina, cheese, beans, quinoa, these all contain the amino acids that are necessary for collagen production in our bodies. Curcumin, that's the active ingredient in turmeric, which is another anti-inflammatory superstar, helps support joint health. The research seems pretty good there, good for improving mood and reducing brain fog. And because of that anti-inflammatory effect, it could be good for reducing kind of any tenderness or swelling or discomfort you might experience. It's not particularly bioavailable unless it's also mixed with piperine, black pepper, or fat to help transport it into the body. Zinc, our bodies, we need it, but our body can't make it, so we need it from diet or supplementation. Great sources. Oysters are the number one best source of zinc, but if for some reason you're not living the good life of oysters every day, red meat and poultry are good sources, but also beans and nuts also offer zinc. Zinc deficiency is uncommon in the U.S., except for elders, people with gastrointestinal diseases like Crohn's disease. Vegans and athletes who sweat a lot can also be low in zinc. And we do want to have enough of it. Acne can be supported by zinc, and immunity is enhanced by it. So it's one of the few supplements that actually work if you feel yourself coming down with a common cold. If you take some zinc just right off the bat for a few times throughout the day, the first couple of days, the zinc can be helpful there. So the last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up and take a few questions or comments is herbal supplements, because many of us are not choosing the supplements. We might be going for the herbs. And ideally, you want to check and make sure that it's a standardized extract. This helps ensure the quality and reliability of the product, but it does not promise it. And in fact, in some cases, having the extract where you take out some of the active ingredients can work against you. Many Chinese herbs like astragalus can exclude the carbohydrates and just take out the active components. because the carbohydrate component of the astragalus herb is bulky. It doesn't fit well in the pills. However, those carbohydrates are bioactive, particularly for the immune system and the gut health. We see this, for instance, with immunomodulators like garlic or mushrooms. Extracting those kinds of plants might work against you because you actually want those aspects. A few herbs that have some good research behind them: ashwagandha, sleep and anxiety support there. Same with kava. And lion's mane mushrooms may be useful for depression, anxiety, menopause. So the take-home message is here: tell your GP what supplements you're taking or thinking about taking to make sure they're appropriate for your health and your other medications. Food first. Get your healthy foundational diet dialed before adding in the supplements. And beware that addictive thinking. Oh, I'm going to just take more. I'm just going to take this pill and it's going to fix it. Be sure you're looking for the appropriate seals of quality assurance. Make sure you're checking the label to know how much you're taking to get how much of the product. Check your supplements against other supplements you're taking to be sure you're not overdosing. Be informed. Take care of your health. The supplement companies are not there to do that for you. They're there to make money. So you've really got to be a very, very savvy consumer in this realm to be sure that you're not just throwing your money away. Or find someone who's done that level of research who can help you find out your way through the weeds. You're looking to check the purity, the potency, the positive identification, and the performance. So that's it from me. There's a ton of information there, and I hope that was helpful. I barely scratched the surface, but I hope that gave you some overall things to think about in deciding where supplements fit into your physical and mental health approach. This is our last meeting of the wellness session for now. My schedule's in flux. So if you want to be sure to know when we come back, new time, new date, get in touch with me now. Send me an email at lulu@gutfeelingcoaching.com. I'll make sure you're on the mailing list to get that update. And also the occasional but very, very awesome newsletter I send out full of more rich information to support you. You can go to Gut Feeling Nutrition Therapy, my website, to sign up for the newsletter as well if you don't want to send me a note. I'd love a note though. I love hearing how people are going. And also the Gut Feeling Nutrition Therapy Facebook site where I post the videos that I make here and other great content. You can reach out to me there or any of those venues. Find out how I work one-on-one with clients. Let me know what your personal questions and concerns are, and we'll see if we can find a way to help you move forward and feel happy, healthy, and high energy in your recovery. Okay, that is 100% enough from me today.